is a two-stage clutch. Down there is like go and stop, and all the way down is for their implement on the back. Now you push this down, you can let the clutch out part way. Now you got your mower going. You go down to the end and swing in a nice easy circle. You come back up this way, and then swing around here, and like that. And just keep going until you finish that block, and then start another block.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who rented the property from us for raspberries and strawberries was a lousy farmer. And this guy, if he sprayed at all, he'd spray late. He'd leave one giant thistle in the middle of the strawberry field, and then the next year there'd be 30 feet in diameter of solid thistles where they couldn't pick any berries at all. And he stopped paying us, so we kicked him off and had to get the land ready for somebody else, which there's not a whole lot of somebody else's out there. So we had to remove thousands of metal posts and miles of wire and chop down all the blackberries that he'd planted, all the raspberries that he'd planted. It was a lot of work.
You know, when we had the problem with the Vietnamese leasing and having to clean that up, why, you know, I've spent quite a bit of time out there, and a lot of it was keeping things going mechanically. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff to keep going on a farm.
It's a little longer than this one, a little shorter than this one.
A farmer really has to have a lot of knowledge in a lot of different fields. I mean, it's not just the ground. I mean, he's got to keep his equipment going. He's got to keep up with the new chemicals, the new trends, the new laws and requirements.
What'd you break, Will?
Well, it wasn't broke the tractor. I've been on it for 4 or 5 times out here and it hasn't broken, but Brian gets on it for 10 minutes.
Brian was the one that was famous for breaking 4
Yeah, that's in special wrenches.
I finished an entire row
special
already.
The only year I'd drive him.
It would just explode in your hand.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's
I've used them like this before, but you know.
You see if you can find another disc. It should be on that shelf there. Sadie, look out! People in the area are, you know, have a day job and then they have a few acres they fart around with. Van Laken's about the last real farmer that's left that, you know, his income is based on farming.
Right now I'm trying to keep the aluminum separate from the steel because it brings a lot more money. Metacystox R, whatever that might be. Of course that looks like another thing of tar. Some sort of flammable liquid. And this is full of tar, so I'm throwing it in the pile.
Well, Rob would know the most about the chemicals because after we stopped doing the pear orchard, he went through and cleaned out all the old chemicals, including the DDT that my dad had bought, knowing it was going to be banned. He didn't think long term and what it would do to the environment. Because chickens will kind of dig a little bowl in the ground to take a dust bath in. They'll go in and fluff the dirt under their feathers to try to get rid of their lice. So we put DDT in there. And then the chickens' eggs came out very fragile, or some came out with no shell, just the sac and the egg. And we ate those.
Well, there's a bunch of blossoms, and one bee comes up here and goes boop, 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 zaps one cluster of blossoms and then heads out. And the blossoms that were here, no bee went to. Really varied in size, too. I'm going to pick some and do pressure tests. See how green they are. Let's see, nothing's dropping on the ground. Well, let's see, it's rotten in there.
Well, the farm lost money for 4 years in a row, and it's not a crop that you can just let sit there. I mean, the trees deteriorate if you don't keep spraying and pruning, and so even when you don't have a crop, the expenses are still quite high. And the price of pears was affected by the Central and South America market, and pears coming from lots of other places than the U.S. So.
The older I got, the more I did. The first job I had was picking up my dad's beer bottles up out of the orchard. My mom paid me a nickel for every beer bottle I retrieved.
Ready!
Initially, all of us helped plant the trees. So we planted 30 acres of pear trees.
Well, the reason they had children, we said, was because they got unpaid farm labor.
Cheap labor. I made 25 cents an hour, whatever was needed. Sprayed toxic chemicals as a kid. Danger at the farm. Early on, we just had a pickup and 40-pound wooden boxes, so picked pears and loaded them in the truck.
I escaped most of the hard labor. Mom and Dad had a crew that they brought from Burnside originally. I mean, it's interesting just to see how farm labor has changed over the years, because originally they were Burnside bums, homeless guys who kind of moved around as Margaret Farm. There were not the Hispanics that are kind of the main labor force at this point. And so they would take a big bus and go down and get them both at harvest time and then pruning time.
Don't let Kelly crawl down by herself.
Some of the years I helped with the lunches. I didn't ever do any of the commercial picking or the commercial pruning.
Mom insisted on feeding the crew because she felt that if you took good care of your workers, they'd do a better job for you. And they didn't have any, money other than what they got paid for the crop. The minimum wage is only $5.15 right now.
It's a lot of work. Everybody else had full-time jobs at the time. We just didn't have the manpower left. It just wasn't feasible anyway to keep it up and going.
We didn't have much choice. What they do with pears is the cannery sets the price before you even have your crop. And we knew the price for the next 2 years was less than we could pay to, prune it, fertilize it, spray it, and pick it. So if you know you're going in the hole for the next 2 years and you've been in the hole for 5 years, at some point you make a business decision that this isn't something we can continue to do. We put ads in to try to lease it as an orchard, not even a call.
We couldn't hire anybody to do it because we're already losing money, so how could you pay somebody to help you lose money? The decision was there's no money in pears, and so we pulled them up and burned them, and then leased it to a guy for raspberries and strawberries.
Of course, everybody in the family participated in the burning of the trees. We hired somebody to knock them over and to pull them up out of the ground, and hired a guy who had done the burning part before, because it's very tricky, it's very dangerous. We talked to the Ridgefield School District at one point. The property across from the high school now that they're going to put the new school if they ever get the money, the people were longtime Ridgefield residents and they sold it very cheaply compared to what they could have gotten if they developed it, which they could have.
The city, the parks, they wanted 9 baseball diamonds and 4 soccer fields with concession stands and lights and one road coming in, another road coming out, so all the traffic would be going by the farmhouse. So it would all be suburban kids commuting out to farmland to go play their soccer game and then drive back. It was basically an industrial commercial ball field. And Mary and Carl would say, well, why don't they get their exercise bucking hay bales and working on the farm?
I'm not interested anymore. It's just that I hate to see the farmland just disappearing. And I mean, it's prized agricultural land. Why can't you build the houses on rocks?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here until they turn me into ashes and scatter me out on the property. This property I'd like to see stay in the family. I don't care if we sell the 36 acres.
The other 36 acres, in 10 years, I expect will be a subdivision.
The exclusive farm use that it's in will be probably changed to suburbia, and the value of the land will go from 10,000 an acre to 300,000 or 400,000 an acre.
Given what is realistic, I hope we make as much money as we can off the 36 acres.
I think it was a great family adventure. Even with my full-time job and taking a vacation out there, getting all the kids together, working together as a family, and I think was very, very valuable. I mean, the kids got an understanding of what real work is, and you may not want to do this in your future, so study up.
Even all the work it was, it's just a part of me. I'm 53 years old. It's been part of me since I was 6, so it's home.
It's been a strong thing in keeping the family together and connected.
It's hard to see it go. It really is hard to see it go.
Over here on Serrano, go down and talk to him,